All right, well, I just picked up a radiator hose. We're gonna go do an emergency vehicle rescue and a vehicle that everybody on the channel is far too familiar with if you've been watching the videos recently. It's a Plymouth Breeze, and there's only one person probably around town who still has a Plymouth Breeze this old. It's our good friend Alan. He sent me a picture like an hour ago. I was literally taking my final for one of my classes this spring term I'm doing. So when my final was over and I was allowed to answer my phone, I got a hold of him and he sent me a picture of an upper radiator hose that's completely exploded. If you'll remember, we worked on his car recently and somebody had like destroyed the thermostat inside the thermostat housing and tried to use former gasket instead of the gasket around the thermostat, so it was just causing a leak. Well, the leak's been fixed. He's been driving it for however many weeks that's been, 3 weeks, 4 maybe, about a month. And yeah, I guess that hose blew out. So maybe before that that liquid in the radiator, we had just topped it off with water and said, hey, we'll put some antifreeze in it later, because we weren't sure if it was going to leak from anywhere else. And a subscriber actually sent me a radiator pressure test kit, so thank you very much to whoever sent that. Well, looks like the water's drained out of it. What concerns me though is he said that he heard an explosion sound, which is on par for that hose exploding. But he said after that happened, the car wouldn't drive. And I was like, I'm like, man, did you seize that engine up? I'm like, you know you can't drive it when it's hot. I've told him that. And well, when it doesn't have coolant or it's overheating. He said no. He said it was running. The engine was running, and it just wouldn't go. It wouldn't move. So he ended up pushing it out of the road. He was in the middle of the road. I have no idea what's going on, but I know that hose is busted. So I'm gonna get over there and see why it wasn't moving. Maybe something happened. Boom! Explosion noise happens, and you know, out of reflex, maybe he hits the shifter and knocks it into neutral. I have no idea. But it shouldn't, just because a radiator hose bust shouldn't make your vehicle not move. It will overheat, so you shouldn't drive it. But yeah, this will be interesting. So we'll be there in about 10 minutes, and we'll see what's going on. But for sure, we've got coolant. We know it's not leaking anywhere else. It's been fine until it busted now, and we'll see what's up. Here we go. Just one thing on top of another. For some reason, he sends me a picture of the location with the pin drop on it. So I'm like, okay. I thought I knew where that was, and it's not here. I'm on campus. I actually go to school here at BYU. And then he sends me the address, and the address takes me right to here, basically the soccer field. So luckily we're close, but according to the picture, we're at some apartments close to campus, which is where I suspected it to be. But I was like, you know, he said the address was right, so I was like, okay. So I just followed the GPS, and lo and behold, here we are on campus. But that's a relief, because I don't want to fix a car on campus out here anyways, especially because I go to school out here. I don't know what they'll do. They may kick me out of school, you know, rather than just give me a ticket or something. So they're pretty stuff's pretty touchy out here, so you don't really want to park in these parking lots where you're not supposed to and play around and do things that you're not supposed to. So I'd rather not fix a vehicle out here, so that's a little bit of a relief. But we'll just head up the road here about 5 minutes, well, 3/4 of a mile. There we go, and we'll be there in just a second. Oh, all right, here we are. Wow, this little lucky hose right here, or I guess you could say not so lucky today. Put her up there on that wall. Yeah, there's luckily a parking spot close by. If not, I was just gonna park behind it. Oh my goodness. The key's supposed to be in here. Maybe this isn't the right car, but it is a Plymouth Breeze, so. Plymouth Breeze. Man, there better be another door unlocked. Oh my goodness. Alan. Oh, never mind. All right, well, justamente, the back door here was unlocked, but this was the last door I checked. I was getting stressed there for a minute. I'm like, no way. Well, here we go. We got the key in here, but we won't need the key till we start it, just to verify that it's running. Actually, why was it not running? Let's see. We should be able to start it for a second here without coolant. It's just fine. It's been sitting for a couple of hours. But I don't know why this thing would not have moved. So that wants to move there. Yeah, that moved. So my guess is, bang, goes the little hose there, and we've got the shifter down here, so maybe it goes bang and, like, you know, people kind of reach around when they get scared. Maybe he just pop that right into neutral. That's my best guess. But that definitely moved, so we'll fill it up with coolant, maybe check the transmission fluid and stuff, and look around and make sure nothing's like weird going on, but it should just be that busted hose. We'll see here in a second. Oh, yeah, Ranger danger. Oh, they're cool Rangers. I'd rather have one like that. Here we are. So, cool. In the picture he sent me, the hose wasn't on this. There's your problem right there, if you can see that. There's a big old hole in that radiator hose. So we'll take the top off already, because why not? Oh, get off that. What's going on there? Get off that. There we go. All right, here we go. These are plastic here. They can break. Junkyard's probably the best place for this car again. To get one of those, but you know, luckily that didn't break, because there's no way anybody has one of those. Anyways, all I'm gonna need are a pair of pliers, and that hose is up there, so let me get some pliers, and we'll just look over here and see what kind of pliers we're gonna need up here, because sometimes they make these hard to get to. But I've got a pair of hose grabbing pliers for tight spots like this. That one may be fine with the normal pair. We'll see. All right, well, here we are with the truck. Gotta clean this out, man. I've been so busy. Non-stop. So one day when I find myself some free time, I'll get this off. But I don't know if I mentioned it in this episode. I know I mentioned it in a video I filmed half an hour ago that I've got surgery tomorrow on my nose because I can't breathe well. So I'm gonna be out of it for about 7 days. I'm not allowed to do anything, so yeah, maybe I'll find some time then to straighten some stuff up. It should be pretty straightforward and quick here, but I'll film this one. I've been kind of just filming a lot of little random jobs that normally wouldn't film before, especially on this breeze, because I'll tell you what, everybody loves it, but it's kind of dangerous to take off there without safety glasses. Get one of those shooting out in your eyes. A lot of people don't like those hose clamps. I've said it time and time again. I kind of like them. See if we can get this one off. Okay, well, here's a look at our hose right here. Boom, man, that's quite the hole. That thing was swollen in there. Wow, look at that. Wow, that thing's old. Had probably some cleaners and stuff run through it a little too many times. That's what usually swells that rubber up like that, and that stuff's just gummy and soft. Get that out of the way. Also, fun fact, this is not the first car I've fixed in this very parking lot. And even more interesting than that, neither of the people lived here. So for some reason, 2 random people I fixed their car here before were here for not even anything to do with them. I think this kid was just in the, man, if you push it all the way up here, this is uphill too. I know he said it stopped out in the road and then he got it up into this parking lot, but like I said, I just saw his messages after I got done taking my test. I was like, oh. Ooh, this one, they made this clamp hard to get to. And I don't know if I have my special pliers with me. Oh, play and see. Even more fun fact than that, actually. I believe, no, never mind. I was gonna say they were both Plymouths, but one was a Hyundai. The minivan that guy owns is a Plymouth. So, oh, that's cool. Over here stressing out because I'm like, I didn't bring my hose clamp and pliers, but they don't fit in my plier drawer, so I usually don't keep them there. But I haven't used these since I set up this truck. So I thought that I didn't have them, but these are super nice because I should be able to get this around there. And then all I got to do is squeeze this trigger and clamp down that clamp down there. So super nice. This should be pretty quick now. Plan D should have been plan A. Let's just get it run up in there one way or another. That'll do. Get the grippers on there like this. Tough little clamp to get to. I've got these on there now, so all I've got to do is squeeze them, lock it up, and hopefully get it off of there. And old radiator, so you don't want to pry on that outlet too much. That's coming off though. Pry on that outlet, then you break that outlet, then you got to replace the radiator and this old plastic stuff. So there it is, and that's what it looks like. That grabs it, and I didn't even have that on there right, if you can see, but it worked. It worked. That's all you can ask for sometimes. Yeah, you can see this guy didn't get underneath that tongue, that grabber tongue there. It actually was just in the little slot below it, but now I can grab it. These pliers lock, so they'll lock up here, in theory. Come on, there they go. I can just let that sit there, shoot me in the eye. If anything goes wrong, see which direction this was on, like that. There we go, yeah. That'll do just right. I'll probably give him his old hose back. Already got enough trash in the back of my truck. And what I'm gonna do, and what I always do when I do radiator hoses and stuff is, well, first I'm gonna put some silicone spray on there so I don't have to fight it going on, but I'm gonna reposition those clamps, especially on new hoses where they don't have witness marks or marks where they've kind of sunk in over time. If you move them, you can cause a leak. If it's a new hose, I'll put it in the easiest place for somebody to get to next time. That way, if it's this guy on the side of the road next time, he can do it with a pair of pliers and not with a special tool. Lose that straw, just a matter of moments. Boom, do that, and then you don't have to fight that hose going on there. It just slips right on easy. And we've got that hose clamp already on there. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion. But stick this down in its place. Slide it right onto there. Boom, nice and easy because it's lubricated. Same thing there, easy. Except for we got to put the hose clamp back on that side too. And we'll put this clamp on. Make sure that hose is down all the way. Make sure that clamp gets all the way down on the outlet. And release the tension. Man, I can't believe we're out with this Plymouth again. I literally said in the last video, once a month. We see this Plymouth once a month. It's been almost exactly a month, if I had to guess, since the last time I said that. So maybe we'll be good for another month here. All right, give her a little squeeze there, take that pressure off, and boom. Now those hose clamps are right in a good place to grab with a pair of normal pliers, not some weird pliers that I didn't have. You'd have to use if you're trying to use normal pliers to get around that edge. All right, last one. There's only two. Oh man, tired. Boom. And these tools are just like the perfect size for grabbing these big hose clamps. Put it right down there, keep my eyeballs away. Safety squints. Since you probably should use safety glasses with these, but it's living life on the edge, I guess. All right, got that hose on, push her all the way up. Got this clamp, and now you can see how this bad boy works in action. So you just give her a little squeeze like this, take the pressure off with your thumb, and bingo, seats right up. Nice little tool, super easy. Or the best thing, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's still a little tough, but the easiest way to do it when you're tucked up in a weird place trying to get them hose clamps. I've got a fill funnel, but on this vehicle, this is the highest point in the cooling system, so I may just pour this coolant straight into there since we don't have to worry about bleeding it, since that's the high point. All right, here we go. Just pouring it right in. Exactly what we were doing at the end of the last video, except for it was water that time because we weren't sure if it was going to leak again, but filling up the cooling system. And that may actually not be super empty. Depends on how warm it was when that blew. Typically they don't blow under low pressure, so typically they're warm, but yeah, we'll see. We'll let that gurgle up and see if it takes more, but that wasn't very much at all, so it may have just been down below the level of that hose. Since that's a little peculiar that it didn't take much coolant there, I'm gonna just go ahead and slap this fill funnel on there, and we'll top it up and get that thing running to see if it burps out any air. All right, so we got that on there. Just put its little adapter and cap on there. We'll top this off, fill up this funnel however much you want, and just pour it back in here when you're done. Dry off my gloves because it's got a little bit of coolant on them. And let's start this up and see if it drinks some of that fluid down. If that thermostat's closed and sealed up real well, it could be just waiting to get down into the block. And there's a bubble there. There's some bubbles. So yeah, it's probably got some air in there. Let's run it. No more bubbles yet, but we'll get this running, and I'll probably just let it warm up. I want to make sure this thing is running all right. And there's some bubbles coming up if you see them there. that water moving. If you can't see the bubbles, that water's moving because they're coming up. So we'll wait for those to stop, and then once it starts getting a bit warm and those stop, we'll be good to go. I mean, who knows how long this thing's gonna run. It's got 181,000 miles on it, so it's not like that's ridiculously old mileage wise. It's a 98, so I mean, my truck's older than that, but just the fact that it's one of these breezes, and everybody is always surprised when this thing pops back up that it's still on the road. And I mean, I haven't had too many complaints with it. It's a little easy to work on and has its issues here and there. Like I said, we see it once a month, but it's just an old car, nothing out of the ordinary. Well, she's still drinking antifreeze, but I mean, she runs smooth. I've had this jug sitting up here on the hood, and it hasn't even wiggled a bit. I'm not worried about it falling over, so yeah, at least it's running smooth. Whew. Just caught it before it drank the last of that air. Not like that's gonna do anything, but still chugging away. That's a gallon right there, so that's good, because when I first put that in, I was like, that's suspicious. That settles my nerves a bit on that. All right, well, the bubbles are almost all the way let up. You can see just a few little small ones trickling, so a few more minutes. So just a few more minutes, this should be good. Again, you can see just getting a lot smaller now, so we're about at the end of it. All right, finally that's done. Man, it took forever to bleed. Oh, there comes some bubbles now that I shut it off. Quite a few, you can see it gurgling quite a bit, but that's like a 1.5 gallon system, so shouldn't take much more than that. So 1.5 gallons. All right, well, this seems to be like a random bubble pop up every now and then, but this has got to be good to go, man. This thing's been warm for a while, put out a ton of air, so I'm calling it here. We're gonna go ahead and put this back. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, that's what we want to do. Make some soup. That's exactly what we want to do. Gosh, yeah, juicy. Well, in true fashion for a job that's been a little bit weird since the beginning. First time ever I've spilled my coolant funnel when I disconnected it right back there onto that exhaust. It was smoking up, got all up in my mouth, that sweet, nasty antifreeze taste. I don't like it. That's a job well done regardless. Oh, what a strange little evening call out. That was weird. Getting the AutoZone messing up my order and having to run across town. Just so happen to have like the one more of those hoses in existence that's not at a supplier. And then for some reason, man, that thing did not. Maybe that, well, that makes sense. Even if that thermostat was closed, it should have kind of gone down in the radiator. But man, you saw it. It didn't want to drink anything, and then it ended up chugging over like 1.5 gallons, which is its capacity. So it was a little strange, but job well done. Just kind of a little weird. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next episode.